Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our event week, which we have titled as Known. And you're joining us for our third student story session. My name is Sam, and joining me today is Alex. How's it going?
Right. It's going good.
If this is your first time tuning in, then you're about to listen to us talking about Alex's faith and journey as a Christian. So, Alex, tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do?
Right, so I am from Southampton and I'm a first year at Coventry Uni studying physiotherapy.
Lovely. So, Alex, how would you describe your journey to becoming and living as a Christian?
So when I grew up, my family we were kind of Christians, though my dad was more of a Christian, I would say, and he got us going to church probably from as soon as I was born. Well, not as soon as I was born, like baby groups and stuff,
Mhm.
which I guess was arguably just was just little things, little games and stuff. But then we had eventually, when I was older, I have a bit more Bible stories and stuff, and then youth groups, and then youth camps, and then obviously I was going to church a lot more by then.
Mhm.
And then going to uni, and then choosing my own church. Big decision.
Yeah.
Um, so
So, when you're like maybe early childhood, say 7 or 8, do you think you would have called yourself a Christian at that point?
I think I would have said I like the sound of God, but I don't really know if I'm a Christian. I,
Mhm.
w- I was still quite young and didn't really understand it all.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Then going on from that, so you were telling me before, your testimony is kind of, there wasn't one moment, but a sort of a series of events that kind of led to your faith and your growth as a Christian. What would
Yeah,
that first experience have been?
I think the first experience was when I went to a camp that my church went to, the youth group that my church went to, and the camp was called New Day. It's a week long, and everyone goes to Norfolk and to the Norfolk Showground, and we there's so the camp is games and sports and teaching and worship nights in a massive tent called the Big Top, like 10,000 people. And yeah, well, one of these moments in my journey, one of these events in a series of events that led me to believe and trust in God, was just feeling so much closer to Him during worship. And before that, I was quite confused about what worship was. But in the middle of this, I just felt drawn to God and drawn to seeking Him, and it was quite amazing for me at that time. And I wouldn't say that was the only moment, nor the most important moment, but it was probably one of the more significant ones I remember.
Yeah. So then after that, maybe the next couple years, you've had this kind of moment of feeling different and taking your faith more seriously. What was it like then after that?
Yeah, so it it was it was nice knowing that I had a faith and knowing that there was God up there looking down at me, but I did have a lot of doubts,
Mm.
and I felt like I wasn't going along the right path of God, and I was somehow on a different path to everyone else, and I was confused. Like, how come everyone else seems to be progressing in their faith, and then I'm here struggling still? I wondered if I was doing anything wrong, or wondered if God just had some kind of attitude against me. And now I realize it wasn't like that. But yeah.
So then what did it mean to you to find a relationship with God?
Yeah, so it meant a lot knowing that I'd come from being quite confused and frustrated with the way it was going to then actually eventually getting my head around it and realizing that I was on with the problem when it came to my understanding of it. For whatever reasons, I hadn't got a correct understanding, and that was actually negatively impacting my understanding with trying to seek God more through my life. So when I learned that it was completely about the relationship with Him and not what I thought it'd been about, because when you're at church, it can seem that the people who are worshipping with their hands up high are the ones who are perfect, and that's the what you should aim to do. And that's neither here nor there whether that's the only important thing, because it's not really about that. And that may be that people do that because that's their way of worshiping God, and that's great. But for me, I realized that my relationship with God, I wasn't gonna let it be how I had originally thought it was about, as in I thought it would be a good relationship with God if I was doing what everyone else did. And I realized that my relationship with God was about me keeping on seeking Him and trusting in Him. And when I read something in the Bible saying, you're blessed if you trust in God, that was me realizing it's true. And that's what my relationship with God is about, trusting in Him and trusting Him to understand more.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Was there anyone in your life then at this time that, I don't know, gave you some kind of advice and stuff that you found helpful?
Yeah. So my youth pastor at my church, I remember asking him a lot about, this was when I was quite confused and quite annoyed with how everything was going, and I thought that I would be like really, really spiritual, and I was just feeling quite low. And I asked him for his opinion on it, and he said something along the lines of, eventually, well, not eventually, as in, God is your father, and my understanding of it is that he is my father and I'm his son. And if I had a child, would I be annoyed with my son because he was feeling distant from me? Would I be wanting him to come closer to me? And that really kind of shook me and made me think, wow, if I am God's son, and then I thought, if I had a son, how would I treat him? And I thought, wow, that's how God wants to treat us. And that was a nice moment of realization and joy, really. And I felt, wow. And I was really grateful for him explaining that to me. It's actually a verse which I like called Micah 7:7. I'll say why this mattered to me a lot back then. And the verse goes, "But as for me, I will look to the Lord. I will wait for the God of my salvation. My God will hear me." And back then I was kind of forgetting about God at times, and when I would eventually remember again, it would feel like I'd taken one step forward and two steps backward, and that I'd actually regressed in my relationship with him. But it helps me understand this verse, that when I lose sight of him, he's not angry at me, he's actually sad and wants me to come back to him. It's the same for all of us. And when we get caught up in lots of other things and get distracted, all we need to do is keep having faith and looking to God and waiting for him, and he will hear us.
Yeah, it's really helpful. So after all of this then, how are things going now?
Yeah, so I'm at uni, and it's going quite well, actually. I'm quite happy with the way things are going. And I remember before coming to uni, I was quite worried that I would struggle a lot. I thought how much work I was going to get and struggling with making friends, perhaps. But all of that, I just remember praying before I went, praying with my family, and now I'm not worried about it. It's all going fine. I've got good friends. I've done quite well in the first semester. Got myself in with a good church, which is actually the closest church to me. Obviously not the main reason I went there. But yeah, and even now I'm still trusting in God. And like I said before, my main understanding that led me to trusting in God over and over again when I have my doubts, my main understanding is that God will never leave us. And even when we leave him and forget about him, he's still there. And that's what's so amazing, that we can keep coming back to him and he will still welcome us with open arms. Yeah, which reminds me of a song, which was probably another moment for me in my life, a song by Housefires, a worship band, and it's called Coming Home. And it's about this story of a son who leaves his father. It's a parable told by Jesus in the New Testament. And the son leaves his father to go, and essentially he kind of goes purposely because he's bored at home, and he wants the money that his father would give him if his father were to die. And he goes off to another land, another part of the world, and with all this money which he got from his dad, and he spends it on bad things, on drinking, stuff like that, drugs, sex, and all these things which aren't good for him. And once he's done with all that and he's spent all his money, he's left rolling around in the dirt, working at a farm, feeding pigs, and all the food he can eat is the food that goes to the pigs. And he's in a really bad way. And then he comes back, he realizes that he'd be better off going to work for his father, even if his father won't take him in as a son, as a servant then. And his father welcomes him home with a kiss, a ring, and a robe. And the song is all about that. And the first time I ever heard that song was, I think, at a concert for the band Housefires. And it was just one of these massive moments, like when I was at the camp New Day, massive moments of being so in awe of God that he would have so much mercy on us. And that keeps me going now, thinking of that story and just trusting in God that even when I'm lost and I've gone my own way and it's just not going well, he'll still welcome me back. And that's what my faith is today. Faith that God is always there. Faith that he loves to see our efforts for him. So that's how I think of God today.
That's brilliant. That's really, really encouraging, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing. If for those who are listening, anything Alex has said has touched you or made you think, then we have more events this week. Obviously tomorrow and Friday we have another student story you can watch on Facebook. But this evening there will be an acoustic night, which will be looking at the topic, where is God in my suffering? And that will be on Facebook at 7 o'clock. Thursday evening, so March the 4th, we'll be having a quiz night, and we'll be looking at the theme, where is God in my isolation? This will be live on Zoom at 7, meaning you'll need to sign up, and you can find links for that on our social media. And then the final event on Saturday is a games night, and we'll be looking at the topic, can I be known? This will be on Zoom again at 7, and all the links will be on our social media. So thanks for joining me today, Alex, and thanks for those who tuned in, and stay safe, and we'll see you soon.